He's been in custody. The brothers have been in custody longer than his baby has even been alive. We are now awaiting a decision by the court, and we are hopeful that they will do the right.
So the Tate Bros got a new lawyer, and apparently she represented Chris Brown and Tyson, which, understandable. Toxic masculinity
thing, and let the Tate brothers out of custody. It's no secret that the Tate brothers are controversial public personas. But this is not about their public persona and whether you agree with their viewpoints or not. This is about the violation of international human rights and the due process of law. So far, the system has failed. The Tate brothers, who are both U.S. citizens, have been in jail for over 30 days now without bail and without any charges being filed against them. This investigation started in April of last year, and the fact that today is February 1st and no charges have been filed in the 10-month period should speak volumes as to the state of the evidence. The continued detention of the Tate brothers under these circumstances is a violation of international human rights law and of the EU guidelines, and Romania obviously is a member of the EU. So despite what anyone's viewpoint might be as to the Tate brothers, and if they agree or don't agree, everybody should be concerned about this global issue. My firm has joined the Romanian legal team because we want to ensure that our citizens are protected when they're abroad, and we will continue to fight to get the Tate brothers out of custody and home where they belong.
Do you trust her? Did they fire the first lawyer? But I like the way she's talking. She's making me feel comfortable. It's good because she's like nice feminine voice, balancing out all the trafficking allegations. This is good. This is good. And apparently she was on Lears Lorgan too. I want to go watch this 9-minute interview. There were more updates today. Apparently they were supposed to be an update, but they went to court and I think they're staying in prison indefinitely, which in my opinion I think is a human rights violation. They should be free. Too much evidence has come out. All the people that they're trying to call victims, that DICOT's trying to call victims, are coming out and saying that they're not. It's garbage, bro. It's garbage. Censor Man posted a video exposing the two girls. Okay, let's whatever. Let's see this. This is Lears Lorgan, Andrew Tate's lawyer on his attainment. They're controversial. That's not a crime.
Well, next, Andrew Tate will spend the next month behind bars in Romania after losing the latest appeal against his detention. Tate and his brother Tristan are being held as part of an investigation into rape and human trafficking. Well, speaking outside court, Andrew Tate said he's done nothing wrong.
You know I'm innocent. There's not much justice in Romania.
Well, the pack is still with me. Plus, joining me now is the lawyer for the Tate brothers.
But it is funny seeing the switch up because, like, even when I went to Romania, when I went to Bucharest, I kept bringing that up, like, because he talked a lot about how, like, Romania, you can get away with certain things, and he talked about how it was corrupt, but if you have a good reputation, then you're going to be fine. But then now seeing it now, the amount of people like who are saying Romania is on the certain global spotlight, Romania is under global view, and everybody they're failing in front of everybody. But we all heard Andrew say that shit all the time. Turn the sound louder, okay? Yeah, free Top G. I was thinking about this on the plane when I was on the way here. How I was on FaceTime with my dad when we were at dinner in Bucharest. And Andrew got to speak to my dad for a little bit briefly. And that was just like a weird sight to see because from like internet world and like my dad doesn't even, especially he's been critical and he's saying like, I don't agree with everything. But I just had like a flashback of that today. And also the same dinner, we kept talking about, like how I remember even on the emergency meeting, I was saying that like, I was thinking about moving to Croatia or like some part of Eastern Europe because of how they were speaking positively about it. But, ultimately, like even speaking to Ryan Dawson, now I'm like, oh, Japan. I am realizing that I'm very easily influenced, chat. I think everybody kind of tends to realize that. I did a podcast with Mohammed Hijab the other day. I'm not sure when it's dropping, but it was pretty much like an hour and a half of Mohammed Hijab trying to convert me to Islam, not really letting me talk because, and even like when I talk to Young Don the Sauce God, it's like he's just trying to convert me to Christianity. He'll call me up and like, the Bible. People can tell that I am easily influenced. And then even then, you get the feminists and you get Destiny in your apartment, and they're like, "Let me blue pill you." Everybody, I don't think people. Do you notice that, chat? And like same thing with Fresh and Fit. They're like, "Oh, you never listen. You never listen. You never listen." Everyone thinks that they know everything, and that I'm like a vessel to go and join them. Have you noticed that? I don't think it's a bad thing, but I've noticed that difference compared to most other people. Don't worry, Burnout says I can. I am too. Well, I think I'm open-minded. It's good to be critical, to think critically, but it's because you're low bro, Nico. Bro, Nico, you are actually low bro. Well, most everyone young is, but I'm not even that young. Like, I'm turning 20. I'm 24. I'm not even that young. That's what kind of bugs me. Hello, Sneako. Greetings to Bucharest. Shout out to Bucharest. I mean, not Dicot and everything. But yeah, Bucharest was fun. But yeah, I remember just sitting at dinner and then like handing over FaceTime, and it's just seeing like Andrew on my phone, like talking to my dad. They're like, "Hey, nice to meet you, G." Like, it's just like, what the fuck? But yeah, a lesson I've just been realizing recently, like talking to a lot of people that are extremely smart. Even though I disagree with Destiny and disagree with some things, Dawson, I don't actually disagree with pretty much anything. I think he's a little bit too pessimistic, but Ryan Dawson's really smart. Is that you should be a little more. Well, look at me trying to influence my chat, but this is just like life advice. Like, I think you should be a little more set in stone in what you believe in. But it's hard, Ryan. It's hard. Like, especially if you grew up in the digital age. There's so many different influences all the time.
Who is in Romania? Well, welcome to Ms. Glandy. I really appreciate you joining me. Where are we with this case? It seems that every now and again this pops up back on television with them being remanded for further time. How long can that process continue before a charging decision is made?
Under Romanian law, they have up to 180 days, which is in 30-day increments. So every time there's a 30-day detention order, they're allowed to renew their request and have it extended for an additional 30 days, but not to exceed 180 days.
Okay. You've taken on this case. Andrew Tate has been repeatedly bellowing his innocence as he's been led in and out of these court hearings and so on. Do you believe them? Do you believe that he and his brother are innocent?
Of course. Yeah, okay, what type of a question is this? Oh, person representing a client legally, do you believe that? What? If she says that, no, they're guilty, then she's the worst lawyer of all time. Stupid question, common Lear's L.
At this point, Pierce, they've had this investigation going since April. We're now February, and there are not even charges filed against them. So this is a huge injustice the way we see it. They should not be detained at this point. We think it's now crossed over to the point where it's violating international human rights law.
Facts.
Because the deprivation of your liberty pre-trial is the most severe form of punishment a state can impose. And that's what they've done in this case. And they've had a very lengthy investigation with the government's resources. They've been analyzing and looking at all of their devices since April when they seized everything. And here we are, February, and charges aren't filed. So I think there's absolutely no evidence that's been presented, and that's our position.
How are your clients at the moment? How is Andrew Tate dealing with incarceration? I mean, I interviewed him just before Christmas. We had a long, wide-ranging interview.
Yes.
And once again, I was struck by the phenomenal following that he has online, particularly with young men. You know, he has an enormous following there. You and I know this has been whipped up now by that community into a huge framing of a narrative that this is complete injustice. There are others who think this has been a long time coming, that he's a bad...
Here's his low-key a fan, but he doesn't want to admit it because he's on the news.
...bad human being, and that he's going to face very serious charges, and that will be the last we see of him. But how is he faring right now, given that at the moment he's in this limbo land of no charging but being held in incarceration?
The brothers are both very strong, they're resilient, and they're holding up, but obviously the conditions are not good. They're in a Romanian jail cell, and they've been detained for a very lengthy period at this point. They have limited access to their attorneys. It's not a good condition for them.
You've obviously represented a lot of people.
And as far as...
Sorry, please finish.
I was gonna say, to your second point, they're controversial public figures, but that's not a crime. And at this point, we have not been provided any proof that they've committed any crimes.
Nothing.
Nor have they even been charged. So I would ask that.
Female lawyer, way more empathy. The first lawyer they had, he looked like a fucking gangster. He was speaking Romanian, like, I'm like, this guy looks like he's like in a basement smoking cigars with them, you know? You don't trust him enough. This one's like, yeah, there's no evidence, la la la, I'm a woman, I'm vouching, you know? Good. So good. You understand why Mike Tyson and Chris Brown are walking free after beating women.
That people presume them innocent as they are.
Do they feel that they are being tried in the court of public opinion?
I think the public is divided, as you know. I think they have a big following, but at the end of the day, yes, I think there is a lot of information in the public. I think there's a lot of false allegations in the public. I think some evidence has now been put forth. Again, I don't want to comment too much on the facts of the case since there is an ongoing criminal investigation. However, I think there has been evidence put out, videos and other statements for the public to see what the supposed state of the evidence actually is.
It's been interesting to watch Andrew Tate's Twitter feed in particular, that he's continued to tweet. Is he doing that himself? Has he got people doing that for him? And how do you feel from a legal point of view? Is it a wise tactic to continue to do that?
You got to keep the business running, man.
On social media when you're being held in custody by the Romanian authorities?
Well, again, he doesn't have access, so he's not doing anything directly. And what's being put out is on his accounts, and I'm not going to speak as to the source of
nice.
The posts and what's being put out. But
nice.
I think, again, as of now, he's not charged with anything, and he's
stick to the talking points
publicly if he wishes to.
Yeah, we know that they seized nearly £3.5 million in cash, 11 luxury.
I mean, let's be honest, Chad, it's obviously, okay, well, you know what? No, who knows? There's no evidence.
Sports cars, guns, and other weapons. Are any of the things that have been seized from the property, are they in themselves acts of law breaking, just the possession of any of these things?
To my knowledge, they're not. I think if they were, they would have been charged with crimes. Again, they had the initial search in April, and it's February. It's been 10 months, and no charges have been filed whatsoever. We have an ongoing criminal investigation for which this is a preventative detention, which is why they're in custody. Again, this is the most severe form of punishment. I don't think it's justified under these circumstances where the prosecution hasn't set forth enough evidence to charge them, and yet they are detained, and it's being prolonged.
But you do accept...
She's just said the same thing 5 times. Okay, but good. Lawyer talk, you get it.
Of course, that if the women who've come forward here as part of the investigation, if they're telling the truth, these are very serious allegations against your clients, which could lead to charging, and if they led to charging, could lead potentially to long prison sentences if found guilty.
Certainly the crimes at issue are very serious crimes, and I think, Pierce, actually it was on your show when you interviewed Tate several months ago. He made very strong statements about his position on rape.
Bro, they only have like limited B-roll too.
And he condemned rape, and he said it was disgusting. I'm pretty sure the...
right now they're just trying to rattle him. They're trying to break the iron mind. That's why they're being held for so long without any evidence. They just want to go and break him so that if it does go to trial, then they're gonna be weaker. But iron mind, unmatched perspicacity, it's not gonna work.
Word he used, and he said he thought that somebody who does that deserves the death penalty. So there's no question that these are serious charges, and even in his own words, they're very serious charges. There just isn't any evidence that they committed these crimes.
But we've also had tapes which have emerged in the last few weeks of him talking about rape to a woman in a pretty unsavory manner.
Consensual role play, come on. And also, why, Dicot, look through the CCTV footage. We all want you to go look through it, and you choosing not to deliberately. Look through the footage.
So what is your response to that?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. You said what surfaced?
There have been various tapes have surfaced in part of media investigations in the last few weeks, including Andrew Tate talking about rape to a woman in a pretty unsavory manner. So what would your reaction be to that?
First of all, I think the authenticity of anything that is presented through the media as opposed to turned over to the defense needs to be questioned, because material is edited and it's it's easily manipulated. So first,
Oh, W voice changer?
I would say that. Secondly, I don't think certain text messages, I'm not here to judge or to talk to people's desires or fetishes, but certainly somebody could easily set someone up by saying they have certain fantasies, they want certain things done to them or said to them. And so there's a lot that goes into. You can't take a text message out of context. You first have to know, first of all, the entire context of it and what the background is. There needs to be explanation. So I think you have to keep all of that in mind when you're seeing something in the media.
We do, and we have to keep in mind also the judge's reasoning for all this. They explained on the 20th of January that they viewed the particular dangerousness of the defendants and their capacity to identify victims with increased vulnerability in search of better life opportunities. So all of this has to be taken into account. But it goes on, and as you rightly say, at the moment, there have been no charges against your clients. And until or if that point
Correct.
arrives, we're in a world of allegation, not actual charges.
Correct. And right now, exactly, there's a presumption of innocence that every accused has, and that attaches from the time you're even charged. And here, we're not even there. They haven't even charged them with crimes. So any sort of comments as to their alleged dangerousness, there's no evidence of that. There isn't even a presumption of that. They need to be presumed innocent, and that hasn't happened in this case. There's really a lack of evidence. And
But that's men. Men, if you get accused of anything, you are guilty until proven innocent. That's just how it is for any celebrity, for any man, even people in school. As long as you get accused by a woman, doesn't matter how much she's lying, she won't face consequences. You are guilty until proven innocent. We know this.